Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to Ideation HQ. My name is Sufyan Amin. Well, every now and then, I try to bring to this channel topics for discussion in regards to education and the challenges facing teachers today. Before we proceed any further, it is important to note that the views that I present in this channel is purely mine, and I do tap on some of the readings and the research or even the educational videos which I've watched and share them as part of the collective discussion. A challenge for teachers today is how do you keep your teaching relevant and at the same time able to engage your students. We are now in the year 2022, and definitely by now you would have realized that one way teacher lecturing the whole class method isn't going to cut it out for our students anymore. This notion of the teacher being the ultimate master and students having to listen to them is no longer applicable to the educational context that we are in today. This type of teaching is what I would call passive teaching. That's when the teacher is talking and everyone else is listening. Being the reflective teachers that we are, we need to move from passive to active learning. So think about your classroom environment. How do we actually move from that quiet classroom where everyone's sitting down so quietly, timidly listening to the teacher, to one which is abuzz with a lot of information sharing, discussion, activities, and students are learning in a very, very active manner. What can you do as a teacher to allow this to happen in your classroom? And how can you ensure that this can happen without compromising content teaching time? I am currently the head of digital learning at a school in Melbourne, Australia, and something which I constantly promote in the school is the use of active teaching time and how can you make use of technology to ensure that teaching becomes effective and you're using your time for active learning. Have you heard about the term flipped learning or the flipped classroom? If you have not heard about it, this is something that you should explore. The flipped classroom is a very interesting concept and is increasingly popular in schools today. Typically, when you have the teacher teaching in a classroom and knowledge is flowing from the teacher to the student, this is what I call the lecture style. So let's be honest with ourselves. How many students are actually listening and following your lesson from start to the end? We all know that retention and attention is a big major issue with students. So how many students are thinking about dinner, what movie they're going to watch after this, or even where to go after school for that particular day? We all know that passive lecture teaching does not work. It's been tried, it's been tested, and it's been proven. So the question that we should be reflecting on is, why is it that we as educators continue to teach the same way as we were taught 10, 20, 30 years ago, even though we know that this doesn't work? It is bizarre, isn't it? Think about this. If you're a builder and you know that this certain method of building the house is not going to work, you wouldn't at any chance continue to build that house, knowing that if you do build that house, it will collapse and it will get you into trouble. Why is it that as teachers and educators, do we actually accept this type of teaching method and continue with this type of teaching method when we know that it certainly doesn't work? So my solution to this is the flipped classroom. Now think about this. A typical lesson is maybe 40, 50, or even an hour long. Let's take an hour as an example. For a 1 hour lesson, you will probably spend 20 to 30 minutes standing in front of the class explaining the concepts to your students. Now, this leaves you with only 30 minutes for you to be able to assign work to your students and also check for their understanding of the learning concept. And within that 30 minutes, you would not be able to get through each and every one of your students, and you won't be able to address the misconception of each and every student. With the flipped learning model, it takes that boring one-way traffic flow of information out of your lesson time. That means that you've got a good solid 60 minutes in your lesson for you to be able to spend time talking to your students, engaging with your students, addressing misconceptions, engaging in activities such as debates, discussions, and a lot of other beneficial activities. As a teacher, you are now the master facilitator. where you're able to address students' misconceptions, differentiate your lessons, reach every child, and address every single misconception that you have for every student in your class. We all know that a particular teaching style is not working, and we are trying to address it by changing the mood, making learning active in our classroom. And we can do this by flipping our lesson. Well, that's it for the time being. I'm going to explain a little bit more about the flipped classroom in my upcoming videos. So in the meantime, stay tuned and I'll see you again soon. Bye.